Now, John, I need you to go back again and just describe the Elizabeth River Arthur Kill in terms of how it relates to an estuary.
Well, one thing we want to be clear on is the definition. And
Okay.
keep in mind, I'm not a linguist, so I look these things up just as the everyday person does. The word kill itself comes from the Middle Dutch for a river bed or a channel. So it's nothing special in terms of a word along the lines we might associate it with the word kill. And we also have the Kill Van Kull, as Lisa alluded to before, which separates
It's right here.
Staten Island from Manhattan. And the Arthur Kill separates more or less New Jersey from Staten Island. So it's by definition a tidal strait, just to add some more vocabulary to this evening's show.
Okay.
And as I mentioned before, one key aspect of an estuary is the interaction with the ocean and with tides. So if you visit the Arthur Kill, that depending on the time of the year, or I'm sorry, the time of the day, the water will be higher or lower. Certain fish come at certain times, and most of the local people who go there to see what's going on and to catch and release know exactly what the tides are and how that functions in terms of the things to expect on a daily basis. It's about 10 miles long, and again, it's separating New York from New Jersey,
Okay.
and really extending all the way out ultimately to Raritan Bay and then to the Atlantic Ocean.
Okay. I'm learning and taking notes as we talk. Lisa, can you discuss the role of the corpse on the Elizabeth River Arthur Kill watershed?
Sure. We have a number of programs, but one of the programs that I'm going to focus on is this restoration plan,
Okay.
because the Arthur Kill and the Kill Van Kull, and even Elizabeth is in the middle of another planning region of the Lower Passaic and Newark Bay, and Hackensack planning region. But one of the things, we have 8 planning regions within the restoration plan, and the Arthur Kill Van Kull planning region, we look at that particular area, determine what the problems are, and when you look at this habitat, there's an incredible tributary, there's lots and lots of tributaries, there's 3 water bird islands that are in the vicinity, there's a lot of large blocks of wetlands, and so there's a lot of opportunities for restoration, but also lots and lots of problems because it's industrialized area,
Right.
just like the rest of the harbor. We end up having contaminated sediments. What wetlands are there are highly degraded. So we need to look and determine what those opportunities are. And so we're focusing, for this particular region, if you're going to talk about what your viewers can expect, what we're going to try to do, is focus and determine what the needs are and actually improve the habitat and get people down to the region, down to the waterfront, and improve their public access. So that's a primary goal of the restoration plan that we're going to focus on.
Now, John, tell us about the Elizabeth River and the Arthur Kill Watershed Association.
The association was formed to, again, highlight many of these activities that we had started prior to calling ourselves a watershed association. There are many throughout the state. The Stony Brook area, the Mullica River has a watershed association. And what we do is we work with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. We provide outreach through an annual conference that's actually coming up in November down in Bordentown, where all the stakeholders in the state of New Jersey, many watershed associations working in their regions, come and share and network to provide a holistic look at what the state's doing. If you read the website at Future City, we have a nice mission statement. I'll read a few points from it in the sense that we investigate, we provide science, which is also part of the vision of the National Estuary Program, to use science to inform decision making with the idea of engaging the public and to work towards sustainability and sustainable restoration projects that we expect will be there for the future generations of this community.
Okay. As we continue on, Lisa, why are watershed associations so important?
Well, I think that a lot of times government can only do so much, and so we use organizations like yours, John, to make that connection with the public a little bit better. And I think, as you said, you have more of a grassroots connection as you're reaching out to your local communities and your residents. And I think that's really important so that we can help not only but utilize them to be the vector for the communication and reach out a little bit more, a little bit in a more advantageous way, but also to I think the value of the watershed associations with respect to education is critical, and working with them on events like that are coming up, and just communication to get the word out, so that people understand the importance and how they can work with the agencies to move it forward, to move restoration forward as a priority.
Now, earlier you mentioned a comprehensive restoration plan
Yeah.
For the harbor that Corps recently completed. Can you tell us about that plan?
Yes. The comprehensive restoration plan was a part of the Hudson Raritan Restoration Program. And we worked with the Harbor Estuary Program. It was in partnership with all the agencies, and what it lays out is the future vision and what the goals and targets are for the future for this for the harbor. And what they came up with, what the region came up with, trying to narrow down what are our priorities, was 11 targets, basically habitat types or types of qualities of this our harbor that we want to restore. And there, I mentioned sediment contamination before. I don't know if you can see this. Focus in on the different types of these 11 targets, where we've got sediment contamination. Coastal wetlands obviously is a large one to restore those 80% loss. Coastal forests, maritime forests, the waterbird islands that are right outside your door on prawls and shooters. Habitat for fish, crab, and lobster. Oysters are very, very important. And also making those connections. I know because there's so many tributaries in this region that impact the mobility of fish passage. So we're looking at those, just improving the habitat so that, and especially public access. We want to make sure that the communities are within a 20-minute walking distance that can get down to this region. And just move it forward, identify restoration locations, and then figure out how to implement it. I think the plan, one of the most important aspects of the plan is trying to figure out, it's going to cost a lot of money, and how everybody's got to work together to make it happen and use their existing programs, and then also, work with Congress so that we can move it forward and get new authorization to construct the restoration. So I think it's a very important, it's going to be the plan moving forward for restoration in the future.
Now, once it's completed and implemented thoroughly, what would it look like for the people of Elizabeth?
Well, I think that if we actually implemented the restoration opportunities, those wetlands that do exist that look very degraded, they have they have single species of very degraded types of vegetation. We would restore those wetlands. We would create new wetlands. We'd bring the people back down. And I think I mentioned that our goal is so that every single person in the region, 20-minute walk or public transportation, can get to the harbor. And when you get down here, they could actually use it and have water quality and sediment quality be improved. Hopefully someday we'll have a lack of fish advisories so that you can actually consume the fish, but also go and see improved habitat. The waterbird islands that are right outside really don't have any nesting that's going on right now, but really enhancing that. I think that that's what our goal is in every single one of these regions.
Now, when you get there and you would see restored or created habitat, wetlands, habitat for water birds, fish, or oysteries, oysters, can we grow oysters down there?
Well, I think that there's a lot of research that's going on right now with oysters, and because it's the keystone species of this harbor, shellfish beds obviously pose a lot of benefits for the harbor with respect to cleaning up the water, making it clearer through filtration, and a lot of habitat for the fish. And what we are doing is, in a lot of the entities like Rutgers and the New York, New Jersey Baykeeper and other entities, are testing out where is the appropriate location for oysters, because I think there's a lot of research out there, and we're trying to figure out where those locations would be sustainable. And I'm hoping that in a lot of areas we can move forward with shellfish bed creation and oysters someday, so that we can establish reefs and get the ecological benefits there. So, the hope is that we can, but one of the things that the restoration plan outlines is trying to identify the exact locations in the harbor would be best and where they would succeed the most, given what they like to live in, given the salinity and the total suspended solids and all the scientific stuff, what they like. So
well, he has the words
someday.
for that, so we'll come back to Mr.
Yeah.